everybody. First, some housekeeping real quick. Sorry I've been gone for a while. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to take care of yourself. Nothing wrong with that. That said, if you're interested, you can contribute to the Patreon page. Link is in the description. You can also follow me on Twitter at Cups of Night Films. And be sure to subscribe and hit and ding the bell so that you're notified whenever a new video comes up. So, anyway, moving on. What's on my shelf? Well, today, January 18th, 2021, my shelf is filled with my favorite release of 2020, and that's the Shinya Tsukamoto box set from Arrow Video. Wow. So Shinya Tsukamoto is a Japanese filmmaker who is most infamously known for his debut feature film, Tetsuo the Iron Man. Tetsuo the Iron Man fits right alongside films like Eraserhead as just bizarre, strange, avant-garde cult cinema. And it's actually a really amazing film. I really fell in love with it. But one of the things that I found was amazing about the Tsukamoto box set was just how many of his films I fell in love with. He very quickly became one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. After diving into this box set of 10 or 11 of his films, I went and I tracked down every single other film that he had ever made that I could find. There's a couple of shorter features that are like 45 minutes long that I couldn't find. But what a man of quality. Wow. Just to highlight real quick some of my favorites, aside from Tetsuo the Iron Man, my absolute favorite from him is Bullet Ballet. This was such a stark change from Tetsuo. His Tetsuo 2, and Tokyo Fist, they all share a very similar visual style to them. Even Tokyo Fist, which is not a crazy ass movie like the two Tetsuo films, it still has similar visual stylings. You can tell it's made by the same man of that time period. Bullet Ballet feels like it's made by a totally different individual, but you can still tell it's Tsukamoto. His themes, his approach to cinema, the way that he directs his actors, the way that he stars in most of his own films, they're all present here, but Bullet Ballet feels like a new chapter. And it was the start of a new chapter that I truly, really fell in love with, and Bullet Ballet stands above the rest for me. Let's see. There's also Snake of June, which was tremendous. This was entirely shot in black and white, 16mm black and white, transferred to 35mm color film, and then color graded to be blue. So the whole film is this blue hue that you see on the cover art. And it's an erotic tale. It's very sexually charged, and it's just one of the best thrillers that I can imagine. But the champion for me is actually, it's the reverse cover art for that disc release, Vital. That was the film that really lit my fire off of this disc. It was just this intense drama about a student who has amnesia, and he's a medical student who is taking, I don't know what to properly call the class, but he's taking an autopsy class, and the cadaver that he's working on turns out to be the cadaver of his dead girlfriend who died in a car accident where he lost his memory. And as he's cutting into her, he's literally opening up her secrets, and it shows us that in direct visual ways. It's very surreal, very strange, and along the journey he starts to regain his memory and learns about himself, and it's so poignantly beautiful and sad at the same time. That was the winner for me off of that disc. And then on the last disc featured Kotoko, which is the first film in his trilogy on war. It's a thematic trilogy, not an actual trilogy, which is followed by Fires on the Plain, which is not included in this box set, sadly, but is region-free, available from the UK company Third Window Films. And then the third film in the trilogy is on the same disc, and that's Killing. Killing is the anti-samurai film, and I recently did a podcast on the 2D or not 2D podcast with my friends Corey and Corey. I put Killing as my number 5 favorite film of the entire year on there. So if you want more thoughts on Killing, please check out the 2D or not 2D podcast. Link is in the description. Killing was just such a fantastic film that even though it technically came out in 2018, had a festival release in 2019, the American public didn't get to see it till 2020, and by God damn it, it was my list, and I was putting it on there. I don't care how many rules I had to bend and stretch to get it there, because it was really that powerful of a film. The box set is a nice little chipboard. Came with a giant poster of the Tetsuo Iron Man artwork that I showed you on the disc. It's basically just that blown up. And this really nice hardcover book. If you are familiar with Arrow Video releases, they typically have booklets included in their first run publication, and it's filled with essays and articles and stuff about the movie. This is just essentially what would be those individual booklets collected into one hardcover book. But yeah, the Solid Metal Nightmares, the films of Shinya Tsukamoto, absolutely 120% my favorite release of 2020. It had been a while since I had found some films from a single filmmaker that hit me as hard as these did, that impacted me and moved me and made me think and feel in certain ways. It had been a really long time, and just this one director, boom, what a brilliant director. I can't wait to see what he does next. So hopefully everybody else picks up Solid Metal Nightmares, the films of Shinya Tsukamoto. It's actually a really cheap release for having 10 or 11 films on it. I think it was $80, and that's at a higher price point, so you could probably get it cheaper for around $60. I can't recommend this set enough, especially if you're a fan of Japanese film or aren't afraid of reading subtitles. Absolutely do not hesitate to get this box set. Thank you so much, Arrow. And thank you to Third Window Films for putting out all of his work in the UK beforehand. They were the pioneers of Shinya Tsukamoto in English, and they deserve that credit where credit is due. That said, what's on your shelf?